Welcome to Red Zone Sports. Was that the same song as last week?
It was.
I was expecting something different, but apparently not.
Yeah. I like that it was shorter. It seemed like it was a little shorter.
Not really, but I think you're just warming up to it.
Maybe. Like it could actually be it. But anyway, sorry for the delay, guys. Vinnie and Jimmy were down in Cabo San Lucas acting like they were 19 years old again last week. So we're a little behind. We're actually going to be recording 2 podcasts tonight. We're going to do the AFC East first. That's what you're listening to now. And then you're going to see another post of the AFC North. Boys, how was Cabo?
Well, Cabo is great. And if you haven't noticed, it's taken another 3-4 days to recover since we got back. So like you said, not 19 anymore.
Yeah, definitely tried to drink like we were on spring break back in college, as Vinnie and I frequented Cabo several times, and that didn't turn out probably for the best. But wasn't bad, but we're here. We're fully functioning now.
It
only took about a week and a half to return to that, and camp is in full swing. We had actual NFL football on tonight, and had one of the teams out of the AFC West, the New York Jets, who we might as well start off with them. AFC East.
Like we did in our last show, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of argue about who we think the worst offensive firepower team is, and we're going to go from 4 to 1, ending with the best offensive firepower team we're most excited for anything fantasy football, best ball, etc. Which, by the way, guys, I did one best ball, and I just could not stop entering in best ball leagues on DraftKings. I am just absolutely hooked. I don't know if this is going to pan out to anything during the season, but for definitely like late July, early August, it's probably the most fun fantasy football thing you can do.
Welcome to the fucking show.
The juices
flow, my friend. The suck.
Now you get to experience too when you have multiple teams going. Every time there's a camp injury, you got to go check all your teams to see, like, oh no.
So DraftKings and Underdog has actually made it really easy this year because you can view your exposure to a certain player. Like I'm at like 80 plus best balls and counting. So when the Jonathan Taylor kind of little kerfuffle popped up, I was a little concerned. I was like, I don't think I have him on that many teams. I went and looked, only on like 6% of my teams. So like I'm like, okay, he's going to play somewhere, but anyways. So I want to start tonight with the Jets.
All right.
So you think the Jets are going to have the worst offensive firepower coming out of the AFC East?
Yes.
Remember, we're talking from a fantasy best ball DFS perspective here.
So, and I'm going to tell you why.
Bring it.
I think Ayahuasca King, Aaron Rodgers, I think he gets hurt, and I think that there's little to no shot that he makes it through the season. The Jets' offensive line is not very good. Mekhi Becton played tonight, which is a good sign, right? But I think that Rodgers gets hurt, and then it's up to big old Z Dubs, which. Man, it's close. This is not like a runaway, but it would really be easy just to say the Patriots and just kind of go hammer on how shitty Mac Jones is and blah blah blah. But I think that while the Jets have great fantasy assets, I think it all hinges on Rodgers staying healthy all year, and I have some serious doubts whether he can do that or not.
Okay. Well, who are some of our favorite players here in the Jets? The one thing is we don't know what this offense is going to look like, right? We don't know who's going to be the person getting the ball the most. So they are almost an impossible team to really draft for in best ball. I'm sure you can take some receivers, 13th, 14th, 15th round. But you even got Breece Hall, right? He's coming off of his knee injury. Yeah, he's going to be playing, but how many carries? Is he going to be just half workload for the first 10 weeks of the season? Right, like you said, what does Rodgers look like in this offense? Garrett Wilson, he was great last year. I'm assuming he's going to be the guy. Mecole Hardman, he's always been that kind of guy that we want him to be good.
We
take him all the time.
He's
not good.
He's a gadget guy.
Fucking
and Alan
sucks.
Lazard.
Okay.
And Alan Lazard, right? Like he might be good as like a bench player in your season-long fantasy league, but like you're not taking Alan Lazard that often in DFS or like best ball. There's just way too many options.
So I mean, so I'll say this. I like where Breece Hall is going. I'm buying quite a bit of Breece Hall because had he not gotten hurt last year and had he just come into this year healthy, I think he would probably be a top 12 to 15 pick, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
You can get him at the end. I mean, there's nobody behind. They drafted this Ibukanda guy. They've got Michael Carter. They didn't really draft a running back or acquire a running back. Now, as it sits today, Dalvin Cook is still out there. He visited with the Jets, and that would change a whole lot and really just kind of blow up all my Breece Hall shares that I've drafted so far. There's a lot of buzz around Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson's a very talented player, but because there's not a whole lot of options on this offense, I mean, I think that people are just going to just key on him and say, hey, we'll let, Davis and Lazard beat us. And if they do, then that's great. And if not, then it's like, well, we're kind of screwed.
I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, I am pretty high on Garrett Wilson just because, like, if Rodgers is to stay healthy, I think we're just going to see a very similar, like, not saying he's Devontae Adams, but you're going to see the same type of offense from Aaron, right? Like Garrett Wilson's going to have a massive target share if Rodgers is healthy and firing, right? I'm with you. I think there's huge concerns about the offensive line. I also have in here, I think the defenses in this division are super tough, let alone the AFC in general. Their schedule is not easy, but I think Aaron is going to feed Garrett Wilson. Like we've seen that in his career when he gets comfortable with someone, he doesn't care. He is going to fire away. So to Joey, your point, you can take shots on some of these guys, Lazard, Hardman. I don't mind Conklin either. You can get him like literally in the last pick of your best ball drafts, here and there, just because he's a safety outlet. But it's hard for some of these other receivers other than Garrett Wilson. And I'm with you. I think Breece Hall is awesome, but depending on where you get him value wise, like I don't know, man. It's funny, like you talking about the Jets and Rodgers going down and everything. Not that they're the second worst, the worst offense we're talking about. I have the same concerns about the Dolphins. If Tua goes down, that whole train is derailed. The whole.
Well, hold on. Before we move on there, let's do a quick round robin to finish out the Jets here.
Okay.
Who's your favorite player for best ball year long? And a quick why. Jimmy, go first.
I like Breece Hall. I just like where he's going in drafts. And to me, I'm not playing best ball or season-long fantasy to finish third or fourth. I'm playing to win. I don't care if I finish last, but I'm swinging for the fences. And he's at an ADP right now, and I think will be pretty much all off season, where I can take him in like the 5th round, the 4th round, and he could potentially be a league winner for me.
All right, Vinny.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just hit on him, but Garrett Wilson is mine. Early on in drafts, kind of where he's going is like that 2nd round of best ball drafts. And if you're going to do it, I'm absolutely trying to pair him with Rodgers because, again, if it turns the other way that we think and these guys go nuclear this year, like getting an Aaron Rodgers in round 10 or 12 with Garrett Wilson early on, like you could have some pretty stacked teams very clearly if Rodgers goes FU mode, right? Yeah. So that's my favorite.
Okay. And I think actually my favorite, this is more value-wise, but Tyler Conklin. Vinny, you mentioned him. You can literally pick him last in your entire best ball draft, 20th round. We've seen Nathaniel Hackett's offense. Yeah, it did not work with Russell Wilson last year, but when he was with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, their tight ends always feasted, especially on the goal line. It's a big part of the offense. Tyler Conklin had a great great year last year. He's proven himself as a receiving target. He can catch the ball over the middle. He's a big body. On top of that, CJ Uzomah is his number 1 backup. And then there's a 3rd round pick in Jeremy Ruckert, right? So it's like Tyler Conklin's going to be on the field a ton, and he's going to have red zone targets. And he's that kind of guy in like DraftKings during the season. We're going to be able to get him really cheap very early on, and I think he's going to have a high target share in this offense.
I like it.
All right. Let's move on. What's the next team you guys want to go to? Is it the Miami Dolphins because of the Tua situation?
Well, let's be honest. I mean, the next worst offense is New England.
Yeah. Let's go to New England.
Let's just knock those guys out.
I mean, that's a major upgrade here. I mean, they actually have a real offensive coordinator. That is promising.
A guy who knows how to call plays, hypothetically.
So that was going to be my biggest thing. You've got somebody there who now understands that you have a quarterback that, has certain deficiencies, right? Mac Jones isn't great, but you now have an offensive mind who's, you would hope, is going to game plan to his strengths, right? Because that wasn't happening last year. Because fucking astrophysicist Pencil Dick was just like, it was so weird. That was so weird why they did that last year.
Dude, I think Bill Belichick was actually like trying to play Madden and going like, you know what? I'm going to make this year extra challenging. I'm going to win without an offense just to shove it up people's ass. And it didn't work out.
It's funny because the Patriots, while just from when you're just talking about like we are right now, aren't super sexy from a fantasy standpoint. They have maybe one of my favorite best ball players that I've been drafting out of the entire league at wide receiver in Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've got him. I mean, like I said, I'm in the 80s with best ball right now. I have him on 24% of my teams. Okay. He's going way after wide receiver 2s and 3s on their own team in the draft, just because of this weird perceived notion that, Mac Jones sucks. Well, that's great. Mac Jones can't throw the ball very far. That's not Juju's strength, right? They're going to be behind in a fair amount of games. Their defense is not like the Patriots' defenses of old. It's fine, right? But they're going to be behind versus Miami. They're going to be behind versus Buffalo. If the Jets are firing all cylinders, they're going to be behind versus them, and they're just going to have to throw the shit out of the ball. So for me, there's two guys for fantasy-wise that I really like, but where Juju is going in ADP, I mean, it's just I don't get it, really, why some of these other guys are going up in front of him. Guy we already talked about, Kadarius Toney, already hurt. He's going like 30 picks in front of Juju. I mean, it is wild.
I don't mind that pick at all.
Vinny, who's your go-to here?
So I'm less high on Ramondre than a lot of people. I still feel like New England's gonna get weird with that backfield. Like everyone thinks he's now gonna be the bell cow. I don't see it. I have a feeling they're gonna sign someone else. They're gonna rotate. They always do in New England. So Ramondre kind of scares me. I'm with you. I've taken Juju quite a bit. I definitely like him more than Devontae Parker. I think he's a good receiver, especially for this offense. I'm going to throw a late round, last pick of your best ball streamer here to throw out there and take him in a few is Kayshon Boutte. I don't know if you know who that guy is, but
LSU.
This guy
good receiver.
Dude, he was the number one receiver in the country coming out of high school. Went to LSU and was balling, and he just had a bunch of weird shit happen.
Before his redshirt sophomore year, he was still projected to be a top 10 pick, and then
he was going to go pro, and then
LSU itself fell apart. Like Coach O left, the team fell apart, and he was just part of that.
And then he had a kid and missed some games. It was just a whole thing. The reports coming out of camp the last couple of days are he's just absolutely smoking people. And again, the talent is not the problem with this guy. If he can get an opportunity, which I think Devontae Parker, Tyquan Thornton ahead of him, this kid's going to get a shot. If he can impress, again, this is a guy you can take with your last pick of best ball that may end up being receiver 1 or 2 for this team.
Yeah. I mean, he's battling Kendrick Bourne and Devontae Parker.
Yeah.
So Devontae Parker's getting pretty old. Kendrick Bourne was a borderline rotational wide receiver for the Niners a couple of years ago, right? He was like the Juwan Jennings role for the Niners. I mean, that's a good call. He's a guy that that's the great part about, and the fun part about best ball too, is that you don't have to pick and choose the weeks that he goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Super important in best ball too, that you target some of these rookies and take chances on them rather than established guys, because some of these rookies that you draft late will grow throughout the season. And in those crucial weeks at the end of the year, when you're playing in the finals or trying to get to the finals, you're going to need some spike weeks from some random people. Butte is a great guy that I think you can get that from. So I like that a lot, Vinny. Joey, what about you?
Yeah, I don't have much.
Yeah, the way I see this offense, right, and Bill O'Brien and his history again, and I know I'm going back to tight ends here, but you're going to see a lot of 12 personnel, double tight ends throughout the entire season. I think Juju, like, he'll be on the field in 2 receiver sets, but he's going to be lining up like in a wing position, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to tear it up from there. But like, I think Mike Gesicki, this is where he could possibly thrive in an actual offense that actually wants to go to tight ends, right? Like, we've seen the flashes of Mike Gesicki. The Patriots have been looking for someone to be able to make those plays down the hash marks since Gronk left. And I like it as a flyer. I mean, he's always shown that upside. He hasn't quite let us down yet. I mean, that Miami offense did not target tight ends. And you're going to see Gesicki just in all these weird places on the field. Hunter Henry's going to be the inline tight end every single time. But Gesicki in the red zone, I think he's going to be an absolute monster in this offense. It's just going to be interesting how this offense runs, because I think they're going to chew down the clock. That's the way they're going to play. And we're not going to get that much upside from these players. So as much as I like Booty, how much upside are we really looking at in a non-pass prolific offense? There's not much firepower here. So
no, that's fair. I mean, I think, unfortunately, in my opinion, that's just kind of my take overall in this offense is like there's pieces pick off, but like this is not a team I'm planning to stack in any way whatsoever in like best ball or season long formats.
I think the real spike games here is a Ramondre, where Ramondre rushes for like 215 yards. Like, I think that's the spike candidate. And then you might get a Gesicki 2 touchdown week or something, right? But it's not going to come from these receivers.
Yeah. Let's move on to the 2 big heavyweights of this division offensively.
Let's do it. What team do you guys want to do next for second place?
Let's go Miami.
All right. Yeah, just because
I mean,
Buffalo's
come
awesome.
on. I mean, we're going to give Buffalo their respect.
Yeah, but
although
Buffalo's earned it.
So, I mean, with Miami, first off, I want to ask you guys, what do you think about the reports of them looking at adding Dalvin Cook, and then all of a sudden when Jonathan Taylor said he wants out of there, everyone just assumed, oh, he's going to the Dolphins. What do you got? What are your thoughts on their running back position as a whole?
I don't think they will take Jonathan Taylor, just because McDaniels runs the same offense as Shanahan, where he doesn't need that star running back. He wants the guy that's going to hit one cut and run upfield and have that lightning speed. He has his guys, Mostert, Wilson, and A-Chain, right? Like, Dalvin Cook actually fits this offense perfectly, right? And this is Dalvin Cook's hometown. So if they're going to sign anyone, it's going to be Dalvin. I just don't think it's going to be anyone else.
I agree with you, Joey. I mean, we've seen, being a Niners fan, I think Mostert's one of the fastest players in the entire league. He just gets hurt all the time, right? So just like last year, everybody was all pumped up to play Mostert week 1. I forget who they were playing. He got like 3 carries and he was fucking hurt for 6 weeks, right? So I don't know. I personally would like to see Dalvin Cook go here. I think it could really solidify. I mean, a Kane or a Chain is kind of a gadget player. He's not a guy where you can give like 13, 14 carries to. Jeff Wilson is like a fine, like goal line, like pounder back. And then you have Mostert, right? So I think that they would more likely sign, Dalvin, and then maybe trade Jeff Wilson for like a fourth or a 5th round pick to a team that like needs some running back help or somebody gets injured.
I think
right?
It depends on how much they're like an A-Chain in camp, because I mean, they drafted this dude in the 3rd round. 3rd round for a running back, that's high, man.
I'll tell you, man, he's the only guy that kept Texas A&M competitive in like any of these games last year. This dude can freaking ball.
He can fly.
He has like legit world-class speed. Like
I realize that
he's a 10-1 100-meter guy. Like,
but he's 5'8", 185.
No, I get it. What I'm saying is like I wish it was like him and Dalvin Cook, like those two as a combined. But I just think this backfield's just so cloudy right now. Like I'm with you. Like I feel like Mostert and Wilson, like it's a concern for sure. The run game. Like if you were to tell me Dalvin Cook is the Dolphins running back week 1, the Dolphins may be like a top 5 team in the league. Like if they have that.
I mean,
I don't love it.
They have 6 running backs on the roster in camp right now. I mean, it's just like they clearly don't love anybody. I mean, Mostert, if he can be healthy, is the best one there, but still, I mean, he doesn't catch the ball great. I think Kane's going to be a nice player that they'll line up in the slot and they'll do a lot of different like little weird stuff with. But yeah, I mean,
this is going to be a full
I'm looking at the depth chart right now for Miami. I'm going to get off the running backs because honestly, I think just for Miami, it's a moot point. Like there's going to be injuries. We're not like a new guy starting every single week here, but they have no depth at all. Like, is there a chance that Miami is an absolute like dud on offense this year? Last year was lightning in a bottle, and this year it's like it doesn't happen.
No, you're right. They're legit one injury away, like a Tyreek, obviously to being in a lot of trouble, like really fast. The one thing I'll say about them, and I know this is an offensive pod, is like they're pretty well rounded. Their starters, like top to bottom, like their 22 starters are good. But to your point, Joe, like behind that, they're very lean, like across the board. You know what I mean? You know a sneaky
guy that I think could be pretty interesting late in drafts is Elijah Higgins at wide receiver. Not a burner, but a tall guy, 6'3", 235, played at Stanford. You know, runs a 4.5, so like I mean that's fine and everything like that. It took him in the 6th round. I thought it was a really good fit because they don't really have anybody like that. They don't have any dynamic tight ends. Like their tight ends are like, I would be blown away without looking if you guys could name one of their tight ends real quick.
No,
I only know because I looked and I don't. Yeah, I couldn't tell you before it. It's bad.
So I think Elijah Higgins is one of those guys that, especially if we're talking about best ball, not so much season long, but best ball. I think he's a great like last pick of your draft if you can get him there. He's been going right around that area, but somebody else might snipe him, especially if you go take like Tyreek and Tua. It's a nice ancillary piece, and I think he could have, if he makes a team, I think he could fit nicely there. But you guys are right. Like you look at this, you got River Craycraft, Freddie Swain,
Robbie Chosen, formerly known as Robbie Anderson.
Easy E, Cedric Wilson, Braylon Sanders. Like,
so I'm going to tell you, I'm approaching the Dolphins in best ball, at least very similar to my Jets approach. Like, if I can get Waddle or I can get Tyreek, obviously early, of course, those guys are absolutely, phenomenal plays. Yeah. But I'm just going to either fully stack the Dolphins or outside of those two guys, there's not a whole lot there. You know what I mean? Like, but if I can get like a Tyreek,
so let's go off of that,
2, and then take 2 and stack it.
Who would you rather have? And we'll go each of us here this season. Your long points. Is it Jalen Waddle or is it Tyreek Hill?
I think it's got to be Tyreek.
Vinnie?
I think it has to be Tyreek. I mean, I don't know if you've heard what the guy's been saying this year, but he's like, I only have a couple years left and I'm not retiring until I hit 2,000 yards receiving and shit. Like this guy is like wanting to go absolutely bonkers here. There's just every time I try to like crap on the guy, there's no one faster in the league. Like the guy is unbelievable, dude.
Yeah.
So
I think Joey, I also think it's Tyreek. So now I just want to talk a little best ball strategy. Whereas every time I've kind of landed around that 6, 7, 8 mark, I'm usually grabbing Tyreek. Like that's the best player there at that point. If I got that pick like that 9th, 10th pick, and I know I'm going to get the 11th and 12th. I'm sorry, the 11th, 12th, and 13th, 14th. Waddle's been there.
So that's
in that mid-teen range.
That's
and
what
like it's a non-miss. So like I have a lot of drafts where it's like I want one of them. No matter where I land in the draft order, I'm able to get one of them.
But what I'm saying is,
if you're gonna, second overall,
if you can roll the dice and go all in and say, let's say you can grab Tyreek with pick 6, you grab Waddle on the second round, and then you hit Tua in like round 4 just to lock it up.
I haven't been that lucky yet to be able to have both of them on the board in the first.
So if you can play it that way, and if the Dolphins stay healthy, because I read something the other day that made a lot of sense to me, and as much as we love Tyreek, he's one of the very few guys in the league who will win you multiple weeks all by himself. DFS does, like, if you have Tyreek and he puts up 50 points, you're winning big that week, right? Like, and if you don't have Tyreek, you're dead. So he's gonna put up multiple weeks like that. You just don't know when it's gonna be. I think he's, I don't know what, maybe the most explosive guy in the NFL. Like, very possibly.
He's got the best. He's just got the best start of anyone. Like, he's the guy that's running down the field at 4.2 speed, and he can stop hit the brakes on a dime, catch the ball, and the other guy's still sprinting. He can't help himself.
Well, like, and as good as Jefferson is, as good as Chase is, like, there's not many guys that like have the potential of taking 2 70-yard bombs to the house. Like,
so to put I think you guys summed it up pretty nicely. I mean, it's pretty obviously Tyreek. I don't hate Waddle, but after talking through this and looking at the roster a little bit more, it makes me like taking shots on Akane even more, because he gives you that additional explosiveness out of the backfield, out of weird spots. And we know that McDaniels, like Shanahan, can make use of those odd players like that. And again, if we're talking best ball, you don't know when those weeks are going to come. But you don't have to, right? You just need to have him on your team. I think especially, too, if you do take Tyreek and stack him with Tua or something like that, I think you have to make it mandatory to try to go get Akane, because he'll complement Tyreek, and he'll also be there if Tyreek gets banged up, because he has been banged up before and missed a game here, too. And I think those weeks, Akane will just explode.
Yep.
All right, so moving on
let's move to the GOATs of the division. And I'm looking at this one, and it's like, oh my God, like, who's my favorite? There's a lot of guys here to talk about. This is going to be fun. And one of these guys, I'll just lead it off. It's Gabe Davis, and he's getting a lot of pub right now in training camp. And Jimmy's been a Gabe guy for a few years now. But this is Gabe Davis's 3rd or 4th season, Jimmy? Fourth season. I mean, Jimmy's been on him since his rookie year, and he has done nothing but show out for us, right? This offense is kind of one of those. Well, one of these. He did have a little bit of a down year, but he could have been more injured than they were telling us, right? Yeah. Stuff like that. But it always seems like it's either a Stephon Diggs game or it's a Gabe Davis game. And when Gabe Davis has his game, he gets those 3 touchdowns, sometimes like a 4-touchdown game with 150 yards, and it comes out of nowhere. And there's seems like it's 3 or 4 times a year. Gabe Davis is that guy that's going to help you out in that week, 15, 16, 17, where it really matters in best ball playoffs.
Yeah, he does really seem to shine at the end of the year. Obviously, I mean, we don't need to talk about Stephon Diggs a whole lot. But Stephon Diggs is like one of those kind of weird things, right? Where he's just a different player than Gabe is. Gabe is much taller than him. He's got longer arms. He can go up. He can attack the ball. I mean, last year was a bit of an aberration, like Vinnie said. But I mean, this is just such a dynamic offense, and he's a guy that still just doesn't get talked up enough. A lot of the times, like, I'm a little annoyed because last year and the year before, I basically got him whenever I wanted to in best ball. Now he's going a lot earlier, and it's like it's almost too early, right? And it's like one of those things, right, where you have to be careful. You want to reach and take your guys, but you can't overreach, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you want to overreach personally, I'll be doing that a lot with Gabe. But I mean, he's a tremendous asset to that team. DFS, he's never going to be priced very high. He's always going to be somewhere in maybe the mid 5s to like the high 4s, mid 4s, somewhere. Yeah, maybe if he has like a big spike week. and he is the ultimate showdown player. He seems to show out quite a bit in big spots as well. So, yeah, you guys know Gabe Davis is my guy. What about I want your guys' thoughts on the tight end position with the Bills? What are you guys thinking?
So I think Knox is still a really good player, but Dalton Kincaid's going to be used as a receiver. That's his game, dude. Like, he was Utah's best receiver, not tight end. He is what you think of a young Travis Kelce, George Kittle. That is who he is. And obviously, who knows if he'll ever get to that point, but like, that's his like model as a player. He's going to split out wide, and they're going to try to get him matched up because he's too big for corners to cover, and he's too fast for linebackers. So if I expect him to be receiver 3 for this team, basically. Like, that's what I predict. He was damn good at Utah and was a mismatch nightmare. We'll see if that translates to the NFL, but I like him a lot and trying to get my hands on him as much as possible.
Yeah, Joe? I think this is going to be a fun offense. They totally revamped their offensive line. I think you're going to see a lot more Josh Allen like shotgun, letting him see the field. You're going to see Dalton Kincaid playing in the slot and also in that kind of that wing position off of Knox. And yeah, there's just going to be a ton of mismatches. I mean, the slot receiver is Trent Sherfield. Yeah, he's going to be on the field, but he's not going to be on the field all the time. You're going to see Dalton Kincaid and kind of Trent Sherfield. I'm not saying rotating, but depending on the formation.
Don't sleep on my guy.
Kincaid's just going to be – I just think Kincaid's going to be a force. Maybe not the first,
don't sleep on my other guy
of the year, but the last, 25, 30% of the season, I can see Dalton Kincaid being the guy. And with this offensive line improved, and you got James Cook as the running back, a little bit more of a receiving threat. I just think there's a lot more shotgun. I think this offense is going to be a little bit more pass prolific, and they're going to let Josh Allen go win them a championship, right? They're not going to try to protect him.
Yeah, I think that they got transfixed by, hey, we need to establish the run early in the year last year, and they just went away from the identity and the talent that they have on their team. And then toward the end of the year, when they went back to doing kind of just what they do best, right? I think it was like week 5 or 6 that they played the Chiefs. That was really when they just opened it up. They were throwing it deep to Gabe. He had a big ass touchdown down the right side. I mean, that was like from there, it was kind of like an epiphany, I think, for the team. Like, okay, like we just need to utilize what we have here a little bit better and just throw the ball around, right?
So just let Josh Allen cook, right? Like just let him 100%. Play street football. Like when it's too like organized, that's when Josh Allen does bad. It's like go shotgun, spread it out, run the oop, right? That's his best ball.
I will say James Cook is a better player than Devin Singletary. Like he's going to be better for them. Yeah, I mean, that's why they drafted him and everything.
They did sign Damian Harris, which, if we're just talking about points, Damian Harris, they didn't just sign him to just not play him. Oh, he is going to get a fair amount of the goal line carries. Like you're going to see Damian Harris in on a lot of the 12 personnel sets. Like you're going to see, like, it's not going to be this big discrepancy. I think it's going to be closer to 60-40 or 55-45.
This reminds me when the Saints had Kamara and Ingram and like that peak time with Sean Payton. That's exactly what this reminds me of.
Yep. That's a good call, Joe.
Last guy I'm going to mention is my dude. Oh, go ahead, Jim. Go do it.
No. I was leaving it open for you. He's your guy.
Say it at the same time.
Khalil Shakir.
Yes.
Isaiah McKenzie just clogged that goddamn slot role last year. He didn't really get his opportunities. It's the second camp in a row. He's just been shining. He's a guy I was hoping the Niners would have taken a couple years ago. This guy is going to be the slot receiver eventually for this team, and he's going to absolutely tear it up. This guy is so good. Just get him an opportunity.
Yeah, Trent Sherfield is okay. But Trent Sherfield can't pass block worth a shit. If you look at the advanced stats, so last year Shakir played 181 passing snaps and he played 141 running snaps. Okay, If you look at what Sherfield throughout his career, or in 2022, he played 461 passing snaps to only 198 running snaps. So the disparity there is crazy. I think second year is really when you see a lot of these guys take a jump. I think that Shakir is going to take quite a large jump in his second year here. That's where you see it really with wide receivers. We saw it with Gabe. We saw it with Ayuk and a lot of other wide receivers. Year 2, he's going to be on the field a lot. I really like the Shakir call.
And I'll back this one up in the sense of I have a lot of Khalil Shakir in my best ball team. So if he busts, at least I'm putting my mouth where my money is. So
what I've been doing is I haven't been able to get a ton of Josh Allen because my philosophy is I would rather have receivers and running backs heavy at the early part of the draft. I have a little Josh Allen, but I'm offsetting that by taking a lot of Gabe, a lot of James Cook, and then a lot of Shakir as well. So if I'm playing against, the Josh Allen owner, I'm hoping, if he's close to the top, I'm hoping that's going to offset. Where Allen has a big day, I'm hoping that sometimes it goes to those guys too.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of Gabe, but just because where he's going, you said he's kind of overvalued. But James Cook, Kincaid, as much digs I can get in Shakir for me. Those are my guys.
Yep.
So
all right.
Well, that wraps up the AFC East. Do you guys have any parting thoughts?
No, man. This is going to be a wild division.
I think it's going to be probably the most exciting division to watch. I'm excited that we get to watch the Jets in Hard Knocks. They lost against the Browns tonight in preseason, which is whatever. But I think don't invest too heavily in the Jets. I think Rodgers is going to get hurt. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
I think Miami just has really big bust potential where they got everyone really excited last year, and it just might not go the way you're thinking. All right, guys, stay tuned for our next episode. Oh, Vinnie, you want to say something?
No, it doesn't matter.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
All right, guys, stay tuned for our next episode. AFC North coming at you. Later, guys.
Later.